Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie and this is Unity Consciousness. I'm so glad you stopped by today. We're going to be discussing the energy that will be prominent this week, beginning today, the 24th of July, and rolling through the weekend. So let's get started. Today, this evening, and tomorrow, actually, it's going to perfect. We've got a square between Venus, which is in the sign of Cancer, and Jupiter, which is in the sign of Aries. This can, the themes associated with this, with Venus, can be somewhat disappointing or uncertain. So be mindful of spending or any commitments you make in relationships, because you may be overreaching. You just don't have all the information necessary to make a solid judgment call. Or you could also find yourself being very, very nostalgic. Gee, I remember when, and I wish it was the way it was. Or, you know, maybe your resources, your financial resources were stronger at an earlier period of time, or you were in a really good relationship and you want to sit down and be very nostalgic about that period of time, which is not a bad idea. You just don't want to get stuck there. So if you can appreciate this energy and keep moving forward, that's fine. It is going to be somewhat fast moving. And again, the beginning of the week's energy is going to be very different than the end of the week's energy. We are building up to that triple conjunction next week early, and we are feeling that energy now. There's no doubt about that. So let's jump forward. On Thursday, we've got a new moon in Leo. I love this energy. It is fortified by Jupiter. That Jupiter in Aries is trying this new moon. And what does that mean? That means there's just huge potential within this moon. And the sign of Jupiter on that day, or excuse me, the planet Jupiter on that day is stationing to go retrograde. So the energy of Jupiter is even more expanded at the time of this new moon. Leo energy, let's talk about that. Five-dimensional Leo energy is very confident in who they are as an individual. They're very authentic. They can trust in who they are. It is not an ego-based. Three-dimensional Leos have to be the center of attention all the time. It's all about me. Truly, five-dimensional Leo, is, like I mentioned before, is one of my favorite. I have a dear friend who's five-dimensional Leo, and also a relative that's a five-dimensional Leo, and I really enjoy that energy very, very much. That confidence, that authenticism that breeds that confidence, because they know who they are, what they stand for, and they really don't participate in that whole "the world is all about me," center stage, loud and proud, three-dimensional Leo. So anyway, this is a new moon with and it's heart-centered energy. So if you can really root yourself in heart-centered consciousness, the challenging aspects of this new moon, which I will get into, and they are vast, won't bring you down. You'll be able to find authenticism in those difficult angles at the time. So anyway, let's break it down. Let's break down this new moon. Again, on a three-dimensional level, it could be just utter chaos, So let's stay in that five-dimensional energy. So Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, which is a dwarf planet and the goddess of harvest, is at 2 degrees of Leo at the time, which is within orb of this new moon, and it's opposite Chariklo, which is in Aquarius at 6 degrees, and Chariklo is an asteroid. These are some outer planet activities. I've talked about this before. I think if we can draw on the energies of some of these outer planets, or whether they're asteroids, planets, whatever, if we can draw on that energy, it's going to give us even a greater understanding, especially as we really gravitate towards this five-dimensional awareness. Anyway, the opposition between Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, and Chariklo in Aquarius, which is Chariklo is all about grace and healing and compassion. And with them, that opposition, there could be some supply chain, food supply disruptions, because we've got harvest standing across from that. And in order to satisfy this opposition, if you haven't done it by now, it really is important to get that garden planted, be self-sufficient when it comes to the things that you know you need on a regular basis, so you're not dependent on that supply chain for your happiness, okay? Or find ways to root yourself in good nutrition with things that you have or you have access to without being dependent on an external vice that may leave you unhappy. Okay, that's one element of it. As I mentioned, Jupiter is in as a trine to this new moon, and I love this energy because Jupiter is stationing to go retrograde, and it's going to expand that heart-centered consciousness. So if you can tap into that, regardless of the other aspects of this new moon, that is what's going to see you through. That's going to raise you up to that five-dimensional, heart-centered, very confident, very authentic energy that you need to plow through this. Pluto is also trine the triple conjunction. So the triple conjunction, while it perfects early next week, the North Node and Uranus they're already conjunct, and because these are our outer planets aside from Mars, but it's a collective consciousness shift that is just so powerful, very rare, hasn't happened in quite some time, certainly not in anyone's lifetime that may be watching this, but it's Pluto being trine to that triple conjunction tells me that it's all about the transformation. Regardless of what comes into your life, what sudden abrupt changes come in as part of that triple conjunction, it is going to bring about immediate transformation. So settle into the uncertainty, because in that you will find transformation that will be supported. Now let's talk about a couple challenging aspects here. We've got a fixed grand cross, fixed energy that is part of this new moon. And fixed energy, it doesn't want to budge. You've got four different opposing things that are happening, and nobody wants to give. Nobody is going to give, and that's just the way it is. So there could be a lot of tension and restlessness. I did feel that energy over the weekend. As a matter of fact, it does get to be a bit overwhelming. So if you find yourself in that very tense place, very frustrated, something's got to give, sit with that energy. Don't let it push you around. Sit with that energy. Understand who you are. Understand your confidence. Drop into heart-centered energy and practice your breathing. Live in the now, and you're going to be able to get insights with this triple conjunction. Those insights are going to come in pretty quickly for you. Anyway, back to the fixed grand cross. So we've got the triple conjunction that is in the sign of Taurus. So the Taurian themes are going to be heightened and activated. So stability, finance, earth events, self-worth, and value. Those things are across from Scorpio, which is South Node. The South Node is in Scorpio. So this is secrets that are revealed. Now, the new moon, which we've just discussed, it also, Mercury is in the sign of Leo. It's not within orb, it's 18 degrees, but Mercury is standing across from Saturn, which is at 23 degrees of Aquarius. And as I mentioned, Chariklo is also over there. But this is a fixed grand cross, a lot of fixed energy and a lot of opposing things that don't really want to jibe, and nobody wants to give in. Let's break that down a little further. So Saturn and Uranus are going to square. Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus. That theme was prevalent last year. It's going to perfect again in October, but boom, here we are again. That is all about restrictions versus freedom, the old versus new. The difference now is, and being in that energy all last year, we're wiser. We're much more wise, and we can drop into the heart-centered consciousness, and we can know what works for us and what doesn't. We can accept the responsibility that Saturn is asking us to do as we spring forward, which is Uranus, catapulting us very quickly to where we want to be by rooting in heart-centered consciousness and living in the now. So at the time, well, it's actually already beginning, Earth events are going to be heightened, whether that's, earthquakes, fires, volcanoes, those type things. Earth events are going to be, it's just, there's a lot of instability there. So just be mindful of that piece. But in addition to that, there could be shocking truths revealed. We've got Scorpio, South Node, North Node, Uranus, Mars. So there could be some shocking truths, some stark realities, some things, revelations that need to be addressed. And when secrets are exposed, how are you going to handle that? Again, you could flip out and do the three-dimensional understanding and just participate in the chaos, or you can step into five-dimensional energy, heart-centered energy, accept what's yours, and let the rest go, because it's merely something that needs to return to source. So take responsibility as this new moon begins to formulate in this energy, this Grand Cross energy, which is part of that triple conjunction of early next week. This is life-changing energy. This is new energy coming in out of seemingly nowhere to get us where we need to go. So what do we need to do? How can we use this energy to our advantage? Take responsibility. Align with compassion and heart-centered consciousness. Step into those five-dimensional Leo qualities of confidence, not ego, but confidence from an authenticity that sits way within you. And that will provide the peace that you need and the acceptance of the circumstances, because you are worthy and you are going to be catapulted forward into an area that will resonate with the dimensional awareness that you exist on, five-dimensional or three-dimensional. So in summary, the disappointments of the early in the week, that could be disillusionment as well, is going to get you to that something's got to give, that fixed cross energy, and that is going to ask you to do something. Sit down and figure out what works and what doesn't. What's got to go. Remember that authenticity really comes from powerlessness. Your self-worth comes from instability. Harness your will. Harness your will. That's fire energy. Harness your will and find out what makes you happy from the inside out. That's Leo energy. Sometimes surrendering and acceptance to what is the most powerful and transformative energy that you need. If you need help with being in the now and existing in the now, I actually pulled this book off my shelf. I love this book by Eckhart Tolle. As you can see, I've got all kinds of tabs on it. I use it quite regularly if I find myself slipping into what could have been, what should have been, how it was. No, we need to live in the now, and within the now is where we're going to find our path to freedom. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a spectacular week. If you like this video, please do click the like button. If you know of someone who can be helped by this video, please do share it with them. If you want to know when videos are being dropped, click the subscribe button. Any questions or comments, please post them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a fabulous week of fast change, frustration, but inner peace will come. Namaste.